but you can have a good intention, but your belief is not correct. And this is where you come into what's bid'ah. And Shaytan is يَئِسَ أَن يُعْبَدْ فِي جَزِيرَةِ الْعَرَبِ. He is despaired of being worshipped on the Arabian Peninsula, Shaytan. The Prophet ﷺ made it sure that Shaytan would not be worshipped on the Arabian Peninsula. So, but وَلَكِنَ التَّحْرِيشْ بَيْنَكُمْ, but he is content with sowing dissension amongst you. So that's a hadith where Shaytan will sow dissension, and that's good enough for him. If that's the best he can get, he'll settle for that. But if Shaytan does not get kufr from a person, this is the best thing that he can do. The best thing is atheism, disbelief. And then a religion that's off the path, so a religion that's gone astray. Because Christians still believe in Allah, they believe in God, Jews believe in God, but the religious practice is not in accordance with the prophetic tradition anymore. And it was, according to our belief, nullified and abrogated by the Islamic tradition. So then, for the believers, if they're Muslim, then what he wants is ma'asiyah. If he can't get disbelief, he'll settle for ma'asiyah. If he can't get ma'asiyah, then he'll settle for bid'ah, right? So there's a lot of people doing things that they think are drawing them close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they're not, because they're innovative things. And the Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ أَحْدَثَ فِي أَمْرِنَا هَذَا مَا لَيْسَ مِنْهُ فَهُوَ رَدٌّ. Whoever innovates something in our religion that's not from it, then it's completely rejected. And there's some people that use this word bid'ah, and they have a very limited understanding of it, and so they condemn everything that Muslims do as innovation. There's people out there that do that. And they call everybody who doesn't agree with them mubtadi'. The bid'ah is clearly defined by our ulama. It goes under 5 categories. There's bid'ah wajiba, there's bid'ah manduba, there's bid'ah mubaha, there's bid'ah makruha, and there's bid'ah muharrama. And to say that because kullu bid'atan dalala is kullu bid'atan muharrama, is dalala. And the Prophet ﷺ, his language is, you have to read what the ulama say about the language, because you'll go astray if you try to take hadith, your rulings directly from hadith or Quran without the means of the scholars. Many examples of that, because the language of the Quran and the language of the hadith is elliptical, which means that there's a lot of hadf. In rhetoric, the Arabs use what's called ijaz, which is very concise language. So there's a lot of lacunae in the Quran, there's a lot of lacunae in hadith that are fleshed out in the sayings of the commentators on them. They will flesh those hadiths out for you. And so the Prophet ﷺ, when he said kullu bid'atan dalala, there's a difference between a bid'ah shar'iyya, a bid'ah lughawiyya, a bid'ah urfiyya. There are different types of bid'ah. And this is why Umar, when he gathered everybody under one imam, because during the Ramadan they were praying, several different groups were praying in the masjid. And he gathered them all under one imam. And he said, what a good bid'ah this is. Right? Because that hadn't been done before him. But that's not a bid'ah shar'iyya, because he was taking something that is from the religion. Man ahdatha fi amrina hadha ma laysa minhu. What's not from it. He didn't say man ahdatha fi amrina hadha fahuwa raddun. Whoever brings something new in our religion, it's rejected. And people that think that are fools, because first of all, those same people are looking at their watch saying, oh brother, it's time for dhuhr. Ya akhi, bid'ah. Why you, dhuhr telling you now, your watch is telling you, and then that's a kafir watch. It was made in Switzerland by kuffar. So now you're having kuffar tell you what the prayer time is? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Brother. Huh? It's crazy. So, and then you drive to the masjid, astaghfirullah, brother, where's your donkey? Can't drive to the masjid, and that's made by Ford. It's a kafir company. And then you bought the gas from Standard. It's kafir country, brother. What are you doing? You got feet, you could walk. Why are you driving a car? It's bid'ah. None of the Sahaba went to the masjid in a car. And certainly not with leather seats and that fancy, right? This is the type of madness that we're living in now, is that people don't think things through. So the bid'ah is clear, but you have to watch out for bid'ah because it's real. And you shouldn't belittle it either. You know, the bid'ah is a very serious thing. And Shaytan, that's what he will get from the people, is he'll create innovation in their religion. But if you look at the early community, Imam al-Ghazali mentions the first innovations that entered in were, one of them was sifted bread. So the bread was actually didn't have any bran in it. That was considered a bid'ah, to eat bread without bran. Dr. Aisha said, the whiter the bread, the sooner you're dead. Right? That's medical advice. So eating, and Sayyidina Umar said, لا ترموا النخالة فإنها من الطعام. Don't throw the bran out because it's part of the food. And you need at least 30 grams of fiber a day. Is that right? Yeah. 30 grams. You've got people now that they're not well. People, you know, they're not healthy because they don't eat healthy food. And so then they get colon cancer. You don't have colon cancer in places where they have high fiber diets. It doesn't happen. People don't get sick from that. So that was a bid'ah, right? To eat white bread and then to pray on prayer mats. These were considered innovations. To eat on a table, these were considered innovations by the early community. So it's just very important to recognize that that's a bid'ah makruha. It's not bid'ah muharrama. Even in the Maliki madhab, to pray on something that is nice or luxurious is makruh. It's considered makruh. So it's a bid'ah to pray on a carpet. But now all the masjids have carpets, and it's become the norm in the Muslim countries. If you go to the Maliki countries, if you go to Morocco, for instance, they pray on straw mats. Lahsir. Yeah, do they do that in Sudan? Yeah, in Sudan. So in Maliki countries, they pray on mats. And then they bring in the carpets in wintertime because it's very cold on the floor. And so now the karahiyya is removed because of the illah of buruda. This is the way these men and some of the women that were part of that community, the scholastic community, this is the way they were trained to think. And that's why the religion is a sophisticated religion. You just have to be careful because there's a lot of people that want to reduce it down to a very simple religion that is just a set of rules that don't have a methodology behind them, maqasid, the aims and imports, the purposes of the rules. So one of the biggest enemies that we have is the tongue. And these rules that you've gone over, a lot of people don't know these rules, they don't have access, so we're blessed to have been able to, first of all, be exposed to this, but now it becomes a hujjah against us, and this is where the problem arises. In some ways, it's better to be ignorant of things, right? Like the Eskimo, when the Christians went up. You know about the Eskimo? The Christian told him, you have to become Christian. And the Eskimo said, why? He said, because you're going to go to hell if you're not. Now, that's problematic for Eskimos, but if you've ever read The Cremation of Sam McGee, you'll know what I'm talking about. But he said, well, what happens if I just lived here and I never heard about it? And he said, no, then you'll be forgiven. So he said, then why are you telling me? Right? So, so now you know. I mean, this is the problem. The knowledge, on the one hand, we have to learn because we're obliged to. We also have to spread that knowledge because Allah didn't create people just to live in igloos and eat fish. Right? They're created to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is why you take the message even to the furthest corners of the earth. But this knowledge comes with a price, and the price is that if you don't practice it, you're in bigger trouble than people that don't know it and might have an excuse with their Lord on the Yawm al-Qiyamah. So it's very important to remember that these are made to be practiced.